All right, welcome back to Wayne's World Garage. It's still Monday, back from the sawmill after Phil and I had a nice lunch. So one of the things Phil observed, I'd say we, but he observed it, not me, was he was looking at the collar. So this is a big washer basically that goes on top of the mandrel, which holds the saw blade on. And it's supposed to have a small taper here. The taper should be a few thousandths of an inch, 3 to 5 thousandths of an inch from the outside to the inside. But I don't know if you can see this with this camera, you probably can't. There's like no groove here, there's a groove here. I machined this last year, trust me, there was no groove in that thing. So I don't know what happened here. It can't be good though. It's not good at all. So what we need to do is we need to put it on a lathe. We'll dial indicate it and we'll see what it looks like and we'll probably redo it. So before you put it on a lathe, last time I did this, I had to make a little jig because there's no way to tighten that thing down. So it's got a little taper on this big washer I put here. See a little taper up here? Let me show you. You can't see it. So I put a little bit of a taper on this little guy here. It squeezes it tightly against here. You tighten it down and you're good to go. Just like brake calipers and brake drums and brake rotors, you want to make sure the surface is clean that you put those guys on before you crank them down. So what I did, to save you the effort of watching me do boring stuff, is look at how shiny the inside of that guy is. So I took it and I wire brushed it clean and the back side of it clean. So now I'll put this tool in my lathe and I will dial indicate it to make sure it's still as good as I think it is. So before we get going and go too nuts, this flat surface here is what this thing rides on. The collar, not the fast collar, slow collar. We believe it's called a fast collar because it's fastened to the mandrel. So what I did is I put this in here, I chucked it up in the collet, and I just wanted to double check that I'm good. So I zeroed this to 0, and it looks like I'm within a half a thousandths. And now I know when I put my thing on there, my slow collar, hopefully it'll be tight and it'll be close to tolerances, or at least the runout will be 0, as it should be. So let me attach that and see what it looks like. I got the dial indicator on here. And let me spin this thing. Looks like the total run out on here is 7 to 8 thousandths of an inch. Interestingly, I don't know if you can see this here, there's 2 holes in these for pins. That's where it's kind of maxed out. I put a mark here, so this is pushing this way, so it's where these pins are, it got warped. Now, when you put these together, this is supposed to be machined in, it's about 3 thousandths, 5 thousandths difference here. So from the inside to the outside edge here should be 5 or 6 thousandths. Needs to be tapered in a little bit. And what do we see here? Something's cattywampusly wrong. I don't know what. So let's with 0 eyes now, we'll call it 0, close enough to 0. And when I bring it in, God bless, it goes in 20 thousandths. Guarantee I did not machine it like that. Guaranteed. Yeah, it's messed up. I can see it's messed up. When you look at this thing carefully, it's not right. This is kind of interesting. I took my cutting tool and I just made this perfectly flat, which it should be. And the run out of this thing, when I put it back together last time, was 0.0000 thousandths of an inch. So check this out. I don't know if you can see this. I'll put this at 0 now. And what do? We go to minus, well, let me make it 0 here. Got 0. If you look at here, according to this diagram from somebody, this should be between 2 and 4 thousandths of an inch taper. So it comes out this way, 2 thousandths of an inch more, 2 to 4 thousandths in this way. And what do we got here? You can see, I'll put this at 0. Well, I'll try and put it at 0. All right, I'm at 0 now, and when I bring this guy in, it's like it goes to like 18 thousandths of an inch, which is what Phil and I were seeing, and like, what the heck is that all about? That is not right. So we're gonna fix that. So let's put a cutter on here and make this so it's 2 to 4 thousandths of an inch. All right, so let's give this a shot. Next on my list here, things forget to slide for this lathe. I don't have one. I'm supposed to be doing that this morning, looking on Amazon, but I didn't find one. But let's cut it and see what happens. Can't see it, but I'm cutting it to its. A little bit more to do right here. I think we're looking pretty good. Still could go a little bit more. There we go, got that smoothed off. Now, I'll take my fancy measuring jig, which I'm sure everyone is impressed with, stand by, and my Chinese micrometer, because my start one got broken. First thing we should do is see what our run out looks like. So we're 0. Oh, I should take the pulley off here, stand by. Yep, we are less than 1,000ths. All right, well, I just cut it again. This can't be too excited. Let me try and hold this a little bit closer for you. Hopefully you can read it. We're pretty close to 0 here, and we're on the outside of this thing. And when I bring it to the inside, what do we get? 3,500ths, 4,000ths. I'd say, man, am I good. So the way I look at this thing, I should be 2 to 4,000ths, and I'm perfect. Man, am I good. All right, so here's the next thing we got. There's 4 of these little thingies here, and these hold the little block which holds the bearing on the mandrel. And I think you can see it in the video. This is what adjusts the lead. We use it to adjust the lead. You gotta be careful. It's also, they used it to adjust the tension on the belt. You see there's 2 inches of threads here, more than that, 2 inches of threads, and you push it out 2 inches, you're gonna tighten the belt down. They got a little point to the end of them, and we checked them out. We said, okay, we could do like they'd done before, use a pipe wrench on it, but we're not plumbers. So I said, well, let's get the right size wrench. Looks to me to be 1 3/8 inch wrench, right? What's that say? 1 3/8. I don't know why it's so tight on that side. So this is what I'm gonna fix next. Here's another nut. It doesn't even fit on it. And I filed it down to take all the grindings off it. So let me put these in the milling machine, the Bridgeport mill from Bridgeport, Connecticut. And we'll make these the right size, and then we'll be happy campers, and we can use a real wrench on this thing instead of pliers, pipe wrenches, crescent wrenches, and all that stuff. All right, take 2. The cutter on the milling machine will untwist this bolt, so I have to actually spin it this way and cut. Can't do that. No, I can't do that. So, next step, take it to the grindstone and grind it, which I've done this one. It looks pretty good. Let me do a couple more. Stand by. So there you go. So much for trying to mill these guys out. But I made them work. I ground them on the grind stone. Now they all fit in here. So now we can take them off without using wrenches and destroying them. Don't use channel locks and vice grips on nuts. And they're not metric. They're made in America by Americans. Probably in Pennsylvania where fricks were made. All right, well, that's it for right now. Later today, Phil and I go back to the sawmill and we measure the temperature of the bearings and try and do a little bit more troubleshooting. The collars are fixed. The collar is fixed. Although that's not going to affect the temperature of the bearing, I don't believe. But we're going to figure it out.